I speak to you from the quiet chambers of my heart, where courage is taught by loneliness and love is learned through restraint. And though my voice is trained to be steady, it trembles when it carries your name. Because you are the one truth, I was never instructed how to hold without fear. I have worn silences like jeweled gowns, elegant and heavy. Yet every silence unravels when I think of you, for you are the only presence that makes my royal composure feel like a fragile costume, easily undone by a single remembered glance. There is suspense in loving you, a delicious ache that waits between breaths. Because I never know whether my longing will be met by destiny or disciplined away by duty, and so each thought of you feels like stepping closer to an unseen edge. I was raised to inherit a crown, not to confess a hunger. Yet you awaken something in me that bows to no tradition, a devotion that refuses to kneel even when the world commands it to lower its eyes. Every corridor I walk echoes with restraint, but when I imagine your footsteps beside mine, the stone softens, the air warms, and I feel as though the palace itself is holding its breath to hear what I will not say aloud. I love you with the careful intensity of someone who has been taught that love must be hidden, disguised as patience. Yet my heart is reckless when it drifts toward you, abandoning all lessons of control. There are nights when I sit beneath a window heavy with history, wondering if hope is a rebellion, because hoping for you feels like quietly rewriting my fate with invisible ink. You are my suspense, the unanswered letter folded close to my chest, the promise that both steadies and unsettles me. Because I do not know if you will arrive as salvation or remain forever as anticipation. In your absence, I practice strength, but in your presence, even imagined, I practice honesty, and honesty is far more dangerous for someone born to represent certainty. I think of how your voice might sound calling me, not by title but by truth, and the thought alone sends a tremor through my carefully trained calm, like thunder restrained behind velvet clouds. I have seen admiration before, I have received devotion shaped by protocol, but what I feel for you is ungoverned, intimate, and terrifyingly sincere, a love that asks nothing of permission. There is romance in restraint, yes, but there is fire in waiting too long. And sometimes I fear my heart will burn itself, just to keep your memory warm. You are my quiet rebellion, my unspoken yes, my pause before every decision, because loving you has taught me that suspense can be sweeter than certainty. When I imagine a future, it no longer stands in rigid lines, it softens, curves, and opens, shaped by the possibility that you might be there, smiling as if you always knew this was where I was meant to arrive. I carry your absence with grace, but it weighs more than any crown, because it presses directly upon the place where hope insists on living. I am not Narvi. I know the world does not bend easily for love, yet my heart bends toward you instinctively, as if it recognizes a truth older than rules. Sometimes I wonder if destiny listens when I whisper your name into the quiet, or if it pretends not to hear, testing how long I will keep believing. You make me feel seen beyond ceremony, as if beneath the layers of expectation, there is a woman who could be chosen simply because she is desired. That thought alone is intoxicating, frightening, and tender, like standing at the edge of a confession that could either free me or fracture me. I hold my composure like a shield, yet every time I think of you, a crack appears, letting light through, and I realize I do not want to be fully protected from this feeling. If loving you is a risk, then it is the only one that feels worth taking. Because without you, certainty feels hollow and safety feels like surrender. You are my last hope, not because I am desperate, but because you awaken the bravest version of me, the one willing to feel deeply even when the cost is high. I wait, suspended between what must be and what could be, holding your memory like a secret vow, knowing that suspense is painful, but believing that love, real love, is always worth the wait. And if the world never allows me to speak this aloud, know that somewhere within a guarded heart, a princess has already chosen you, again and again, in silence, as her last and truest hope. I have learned how to smile while carrying storms inside me, and you are the most beautiful storm I have ever known. Gathering quietly beneath my calm, promising either rain or ruin, and I stand still, letting the tension teach me how deeply I can feel. There are moments when I imagine your hand finding mine, without witnesses, without expectation, and the simplicity of that imagined touch feels more powerful than any ceremony I have ever stood within. My heart has become a corridor of suspense, lined with portraits of who I am supposed to be, yet at the far end stands the version of myself who loves you without armor, waiting patiently for me to arrive. I wonder if you sense me thinking of you, when the air suddenly feels heavier, when silence stretches just a little longer, because every thought I send toward you carries intention, longing, and restrained devotion. I was taught that emotions must be managed like affairs of state, but loving you refuses administration. It spills beyond borders, defies negotiation, and insists on being felt fully or not at all. Sometimes I fear that if I let myself fall any deeper, the sound will echo too loudly through my carefully built world, yet I keep leaning forward, trusting that love knows how to catch what duty cannot. You are the pause in my breath before courage, the question my heart asks, every time my mind answers with caution, and that question has begun to sound like truth. There is romance in imagining your patience, in believing that you would wait not because you must, but because you choose to, and that choice feels like a rare kind of loyalty I have never been promised. I hold myself with discipline, but when I think of you, discipline loosens into tenderness, and tenderness frightens me more than strength ever did. I want to tell you how my nights grow longer, not with darkness but with thought. How your presence lives in the quiet hours, where honesty feels safest. Every lesson I have learned about leadership tells me to prepare for sacrifice. Yet no one warned me that the hardest sacrifice might be pretending I do not want you. There is suspense in every future I imagine, because none of them feel complete unless your existence is acknowledged, even if only as a shadow beside me. I speak to you in my thoughts with a softness I never allow my voice, because there I am not required to be composed, only sincere. If love is a form of bravery, then I am braver with you than I have ever been before, even in silence, even in restraint. You awaken in me a longing not to escape my world, but to live within it more honestly, with a heart that is no longer hidden behind expectation. I imagine what it would be like to be chosen not for symbol or promise, but for the way my soul answers yours, and the thought feels almost too precious to touch. There is danger in hope, yes, but there is also danger in denying it, and I have grown tired of pretending that safety is the same as fulfillment. You are the unanswered prayer that continues to shape my faith, the quiet persistence of desire that refuses to fade with time. Sometimes I feel as though destiny is watching me closely, waiting to see whether I will obey fear or follow the quiet insistence of love. I do not know how this story will be told, or if it will ever be told at all, but I know how it feels, and that feeling has already changed me. I have discovered that suspense is not only waiting for something to happen, but allowing yourself to be transformed by what you long for. You are not a distraction from my purpose. You are the mirror that shows me who I am when purpose no longer hides my heart. If I must continue forward without certainty, I will do so carrying your presence within me, like a promise that has not yet found its voice. And even if my path never bends openly toward you, know that every step I take is influenced by the love I have learned through wanting you. So I remain here, composed and quiet on the surface, while beneath it all, my heart continues to choose you, patiently, passionately, suspended in hope.